Danielle and Shadow were the best of friends. Every morning they followed the same routine. Danielle would wake up, stretch, and let out a big yawn. Then she would rush to her window and throw it open, greeting the day. Shadow, her loyal black Labrador, would be waiting patiently by her side, tail wagging excitedly. They lived in a small, peaceful town nestled between rolling hills. Life was simple and predictable. But one afternoon, the sky turned a menacing shade of green. The wind howled, whipping through the trees like an angry beast. A storm was coming, unlike any they had seen before. Danielle felt a knot of unease in her stomach as she watched the storm approach. She called Shadow inside. He whined softly, sensing her anxiety. The first raindrops were fat and heavy, pounding on the roof like 1,000 tiny hammers. Soon the rain was coming down in sheets, blurring the world outside into a swirling grey mess. As the storm raged on, the lights flickered and died, plunging the house into darkness. Danielle huddled with Shadow, his warm fur a comfort against the raging storm outside. Suddenly a deafening crack of thunder shook the house. Shadow whimpered and disappeared. "Shadow?" Danielle called out, her voice trembling. There was no reply, only the relentless roar of the storm. Panic welled up inside her. She stumbled around in the dark, knocking over furniture, her heart pounding in her chest. "Shadow, where are you?" she cried again, her voice hoarse with fear. She searched every corner of the house, but Shadow was gone. He was gone. Danielle felt a wave of dizziness wash over her. She sank to the floor, tears streaming down her face. The storm raged on outside, a symphony of wind and rain, but Danielle barely noticed. All she could think about was Shadow. She had to find him. She couldn't imagine her life without her furry best friend. Gathering her courage, Danielle grabbed her raincoat and flung open the door. The wind howled like a banshee, and rain lashed at her face, but she didn't hesitate. She had to find Shadow. Danielle searched frantically through the storm, her flashlight beam cutting through the darkness. She called out Shadow's name until her voice was raw, but there was no response. Just when her hope began to dwindle, she spotted it. A faint glow emanated from the muddy ground near the old oak tree at the edge of the woods. As she got closer, she realized it was a paw print, glowing with an ethereal light. It was Shadow's paw print. She knew it. Danielle reached out to touch it, and as her fingers brushed against the glowing imprint, a jolt of energy surged through her. Images flashed before her eyes. Shadow running through the woods, a look of fear in his eyes. She could feel his fear, his confusion, and a strange pull, as if something was calling him forward. She knew then that this was no ordinary storm. Something magical was at play, and she would face any danger, any challenge to bring her beloved Shadow home. With newfound determination, Danielle stepped into the woods, following the trail of glowing paw prints. The woods were alive with magic, pulsating with an energy Danielle had never felt before. Trees, taller than any she had ever seen, reached towards the sky, their branches intertwined in a canopy so thick that only slivers of moonlight could penetrate. Strange flowers bloomed in the undergrowth, their petals shimmering with an otherworldly glow. As Danielle journeyed deeper into the woods, following the trail of Shadow's paw prints, she encountered creatures straight out of a fairy tale. Tiny, winged creatures with glowing eyes flitted through the undergrowth. A family of deer with silver antlers watched her pass, their eyes filled with ancient wisdom. Then a voice broke through the stillness of the forest. "Well, well, well, what do we have here?" A small, sleek creature stepped out from behind a giant mushroom, its eyes gleaming with mischief. It was a fox, but not just any fox. This fox was talking. "Lost, are we?" the fox asked, its tail twitching. "I'm looking for my dog, Shadow," Danielle said, her voice trembling slightly. "He disappeared during the storm." The fox chuckled softly. "Ah, the storm. Yes, that explains a lot. I am Ember," the fox continued, bowing low. "And it seems fate has brought us together. I may be able to help you find your Shadow, but the path ahead is fraught with peril." And so began Danielle's journey through the enchanted forest, guided by Ember, the talking fox. Chapter 5. Trials of the Forest. The enchanted forest was a place of both wonder and danger. With each step, Danielle encountered new challenges. Giant spiders spun webs of shimmering silk that could trap the unwary. Mischievous spirits played tricks on travelers, leading them astray with their laughter. One of the most daunting challenges was the River of Fire. The river flowed with molten lava, its heat radiating outward in waves. Ember explained that the only way to cross was to find the hidden bridge, invisible to those who doubted their own strength. Danielle closed her eyes, focusing on her love for Shadow, her determination to find him fueling her courage. When she opened her eyes, a bridge of shimmering crystal had materialized before her, spanning the fiery river. With a deep breath, she crossed, her heart pounding with each step. Then, there were the whispering woods. As Danielle and Ember entered, voices seemed to seep from the very trees, whispering doubts and fears, trying to break her spirit. They whispered of Shadow lost forever, of Danielle's quest being hopeless. But Danielle clung to the memory of Shadow's warm brown eyes, the feel of his soft fur against her cheek. She refused to listen to the whispers, pushing forward with unwavering determination. Chapter 6. Facing Inner Demons. The enchanted forest was not only filled with physical challenges, but it also tested Danielle's inner strength. The deeper she ventured into the woods, the more she realized that the trials she faced were reflections of her own fears and doubts. One such trial came in the form of the Cave of Echoes. As Danielle stepped inside, the cave amplified her every fear and insecurity. She saw visions of her past mistakes, heard whispers of her deepest doubts. The shadows seemed to twist and turn, taking the form of monstrous creatures that fed on her fear. Danielle wanted to run, to escape the torment of the cave. But then she remembered Shadow. He never gave up on her, never doubted her. She had to be strong, not just for herself, but for him. Taking a deep breath, Danielle confronted her fears, acknowledging them but refusing to let them control her. As she did, the shadows receded, the whispers faded, and the cave fell silent. Then came the trial of sacrifice. Danielle arrived at a clearing where a magical tree stood, its branches laden with golden apples. Ember explained that these apples held the power to grant any wish, but to obtain one, Danielle had to sacrifice something dear to her. Danielle's heart ached at the thought of giving up something precious, but she knew that Shadow's life was at stake. With trembling hands, she reached for the most cherished possession she had, a silver locket, a gift from her grandmother. As she placed it at the base of the tree, a single golden apple fell into her hands. She had passed the trial, proving that she was willing to sacrifice everything for her beloved friend. Chapter 7. Showdown at the Storm King's Fortress. Following the trail of glowing paw prints, Danielle and Ember finally reached their destination, a towering fortress of obsidian rock, crackling with lightning and shrouded in swirling storm clouds. This was the lair of the Storm King, the one responsible for the magical storm and Shadow's disappearance. Ember explained that the Storm King fed on fear and doubt, using his powers to create storms that wreaked havoc upon the land. Shadow, with his pure heart and unwavering loyalty, had been taken to fuel the Storm King's power. Danielle, armed with the golden apple and her unwavering determination, stormed the fortress. She battled gargoyles animated by lightning, outwitted mischievous wind sprites, and finally came face to face with the Storm King in his throne room. The Storm King was a towering figure wreathed in shadows, his eyes burning with cold, malevolent energy. He laughed at Danielle's attempts to free Shadow, unleashing his fury upon her in the form of howling winds and blinding lightning strikes. But Danielle refused to give up. She remembered the trials she had overcome, the fears she had conquered, and the sacrifices she had made. She raised the golden apple high, its light banishing the shadows that clung to the Storm King. "You will not win," Danielle declared, her voice ringing with the strength of her love for Shadow. "Love is stronger than fear, and I will not let you win." With a surge of courage, Danielle threw the golden apple at the Storm King. The apple exploded in a blinding flash of light, shattering the darkness that had enveloped the fortress. The Storm King roared in anger and pain as his power was stripped away, his form dissolving into wisps of smoke. Chapter 8. Home Again, Forever Changed. With the Storm King defeated, the storm clouds parted, and a ray of sunshine pierced through the darkness. Shadow, weak but unharmed, ran to Danielle, his tail wagging furiously. The reunion was joyous, filled with tears of relief and the warmth of their unbreakable bond. Danielle and Shadow emerged from the enchanted forest, forever changed by their experience. They returned to a world bathed in the soft glow of the setting sun, the storm a distant memory. The forest, no longer a place of fear, had become a symbol of their courage, love, and the unbreakable bond they shared. As they walked towards home, Danielle knew that their adventures were far from over. They had faced their fears, overcome incredible challenges, and emerged stronger than ever. They had discovered a strength within themselves that they never knew existed, a strength fueled by their love and loyalty to one another. And so they walked on, silhouetted against the setting sun, two best friends ready to face whatever adventures lay ahead, knowing that as long as they had each other, they could overcome anything. If you like this story, remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more adventures.